I'm Josh from Vacuums RS and Sewing 2 in Boulder and Arvada, Colorado, and today I'm going to give you some tricks and some little secrets about changing belts and brush rollers in classic Oreck style vacuum cleaners. This is going to cover the classic gray style you see here. It's also going to cover the Oreck commercial vacuums, most of the commercial models that are currently being sold. If you chose to buy your Oreck commercial on Amazon, you most likely purchased a Oreck commercial that has a cheap plastic brush roller, and it probably melted within the first 3 months. It started smoking, it doesn't spin anymore. You're going to want to replace your brush roller. I'm going to show you how to do that, and I'm also going to show you how to address some of the housing damage that can take place from those Amazon Oreck vacuum cleaners. So first things first, many of you who already have Orecks, you know that there's a little belt door right here for changing the belt. You have a single screw right there you take out, and this plate slides off. Now, that can be convenient, I suppose, because you only have to take one screw off. I find it incredibly difficult to put those tight belts on in this space. Additionally, I don't have access to the rest of the machine when I'm doing this, and there's a couple of points that I'm going to cover down here that I think are very important. So what I do when I change a belt is I turn the machine upside down. You can do this on your kitchen counter, kitchen tabletop, but I hold the machine like this and I kind of keep it in position like this. Now, I have a screw gun, so this is going to be quick, but even if you don't have a screw gun, there are going to be 5 screws here to remove this base plate. Way easier to put the belt on, and as I said, there's a couple of things I want to look at inside this machine when I take it out. So 1 screw, 2 screw, 3 screw, 4, and 5. Real quick, I want to talk about this belt storage compartment. Many of you who have been Oreck users for a long time know that there's a compartment here marked belt storage. Sometimes you'll buy a 2-pack of belts, you'll put 1 belt on, you'll put your belt storage here. I cannot recommend enough that you do not do that. Here in Colorado, we have a fairly dry climate, so our rubbers dry out and crack very quickly. And what we find is that these belts that are stored down here, first of all, they're being stored stretched out. They're being stored down here near the motor where it's warm. There's air flowing around here, and they're not in a package and they dry out. So people will buy a 2-pack, they put a belt on, everything's fine for a year. They go to replace their belt with this spare belt on here, they put it on, and the thing stretches immediately because it's already dried out. So I always recommend not using this. Keep your bag, your belt in a little plastic bag, maybe keep it in your pocket. So I'm gonna go ahead and pop this right off. I leave the screws in. There's a deep screw well, so I don't lose anything. And we got a couple different things here that I'm gonna look at. Now, this machine that we're using for demonstration purposes was actually in for repair. And so we've already done some of the work that I'm gonna show you here. But when you go to replace your belt, typically you're replacing it because it's broken already. So we'll assume your belt is broken. You'll be popping this brush roller out. If you have one of those Amazon commercial Orecks with a plastic brush roller, what you'll find is that when you go to spin your roller, it doesn't spin, it sticks. Rollers should spin completely freely. You can see it spins very rapidly, spins completely freely. Anything less than that, if you kind of spin it and it stops right there, has some hesitation, you probably have problems in your bearings, you're gonna wear your belts out quickly, you could potentially melt the side of your machine, and you may need a new brush roller. So if you're gonna replace your brush roller, you take it out, and I put down. So at this point, I want to demonstrate here, you see how there's lots of play right there. So that simply happens because the belt over here is kind of pulling your brush roller at all times, and your housing starts to wear out here. If you don't address this, what will happen is your belt will be kind of sideways, and what you'll find is that your belts start running off the end and they start running into your housing, and you see that a lot. You can actually see on this machine that's happened before. You could see a cutout right there where a belt ran into the side of the housing. And that typically happens as the housing wears out, the brush roller starts going sideways. So what we do is very simple. We have cable zip ties. And anytime a customer brings a belt into us, we install, or a vacuum into us, we install belts for free. The great thing about that is we're gonna do all of this right in front of the customer. If it's an Oreck, we're gonna do this. We have a little cable zip tie, and we actually just put it in up here as kind of a shim. We shove it in there. In this case, we've got, I was gonna put 2 in, but I actually don't think I need to. I have a little bit of play on this side too. So you're gonna wanna shim on the front over here and on the back over here if you're loose. We'll put that in as well. Push that there. And now our brush roll is good and stable. Now these shims will wear, you know, with time. If this customer brings the machine back to us for the free belt replacement, for the free installation, we're gonna address these shims. We may need to double shim over time, but we're gonna keep that taken care of. And I'll cut those off. Now we've got a belt that's in real tight. Another thing I do is Oreck motors are only held in with 3 screws, and over time these screws will get loose. Again, I'm beating up on Amazon and I don't care. The Amazon machines we find constantly, they come in, these motor screws are never even tightened down at the factory, and the motor is rattling all over the place. So I always tighten these screws just to be sure. These ones are already tight. Just to be sure that the motor is completely held in. Anytime I do a belt, I address those 3 screws because they get loose. So here's what we're waiting for. This is how to get this little tiny belt on here. So I pinch it, and I'm gonna hook it on my motor, and I'm gonna bring it up here, and I'm gonna use this hand right here, and I'm gonna control the machine. I've got it up here, so I got it real tight. This takes quite a bit of force. I'm gonna use this hand to roll the motor, or I'm sorry, roll the brush roller, and then this thumb right here, I'm just gonna kind of hook it on there, and it'll just roll. It'll roll right on just like that. There's nothing to it. Now what I do, your brush roller goes in a backwards, it goes backwards, and I'm gonna hand roll my brush roller a few times to make sure that my belt lines up properly, and that I'm not running off the side, I'm not running over here, I'm not running off the motor. I'll just turn the brush roller a few times to make sure everything is copacetic. This is real good right here. This is really, really, really good. This is a good shim. It's real stable. That's exactly what we're looking for. We're not gonna have any issues with this. And we put it on, easy peasy. If you come in our store, you're gonna find everybody here has done thousands of these things, and this whole thing is gonna happen in about 35 seconds in front of your eyes. We do a lot of Oreck work. So you'll be in and out quick. I recommend it, if you're local to one of our stores, just bring it in, have us throw the belt on, it's so much easier. We'll probably clean the brush roll. We may very well oil your bearings as well, if you have a brush roll where that's possible. I'm gonna put a couple links in the bottom. I'll put a link there to the brush rollers, as well as the belts for you.